Hello everyone, we're back with some more Guardians of Lore. Since this is a rather short chapter, I'm going to try to get through this one and chapter 3. Well, let's get started. Chapter 2, Soy. I didn't see the frog for the rest of the day. Maybe it stayed in Miss Weaver's hair, or maybe it jumped back through the window when I wasn't looking. All day long, I expected her to find it and scream, but she never did. When the bell rang, I ran out of the school onto the side of the yard with bushes. I had seen frogs hide in there before, but there was no sign of it. Truthfully, I wouldn't have known what to do with the frog if I had found it. Would I capture it? Would I ask questions? If I was caught talking to a frog outside the school, I think people might finally start to remember me, but in a #don't talk to the frog kid kind of way. I liked most of the kids in my class just fine, but I was only really close with one. His name was Soy, and he was definitely, without a doubt, my best friend. Soy had kind of reddish blonde hair and a round face. He and I had been friends since preschool, and I knew that I could talk to him about anything. The downside to that was that he also felt he could talk to me about anything. Since he had 8 older brothers and 2 older sisters, his questions were always about things I didn't understand. Here's how it usually go. Soy's brothers would talk about older kids' things, and then make fun of him for not getting it. He would ask me about it, and we'd look it up. It only took a few Google searches for me to get banned from using the internet with Soy. The bottom line is that if I was going to tell anyone about the frog, it would be Soy, and I decided that our walk home would be the most opportune time. Did you see anything outside today during math? I asked Soy as we started walking. What do you mean? Like in the sky? He asked, jumping over cracks in the sidewalk. I mean, right outside the window, like right up against it, I answered. Like a person? He asked, still hopping. Soy sat in the farthest row from the window, so it was possible but unlikely for someone to walk by without him noticing. No, it's more like I saw a frog up against the window, I explained. Awesome, he said. Yeah, but this frog wasn't normal. It opened the window and came into the classroom and jumped on Miss Weaver's shoulder, and it jumped inside her hair, I sped out. Soy stopped jumping and looked at me. That happened today? He asked. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. And when I thought I might be making it up, the frog nodded at me, I said. Soy looked confused. I thought I heard something move in the tree above us, but Soy answered before I heard it again. It nodded at you? I don't even think frogs have necks, do they? Said Soy. This one did, I guess. I mean, most frogs don't wear glasses either, but this did, I explained. All of a sudden, Soy seemed a couple steps further away. The frog was wearing glasses? He asked suspiciously. Yes, I shot back. Why would someone go around putting glasses on frogs? He asked. I don't know. Maybe it bought them himself, I replied. Soy was standing at least 20 steps away now. Totally. Well, maybe Miss Weaver will let us look in her hair tomorrow, and we can ask the frog where it got them. So I think I'm just gonna head back home today instead of coming over. My mom has lots of stuff for me to do. See you later, Soy said, turning to running away. Soy! I yelled. Stop right there. I could prove the frog is real. How? He asked. It's sitting on your backpack, I said. Ooh, it's sitting on his backpack then. Okay. Chapter 3, Daydreams. Soy had the frog in his hands within seconds. He was always good with outdoorsy stuff like that. His mom was usually busy with his siblings, so Soy was left to play outside a lot. By 3rd grade, he had caught a pet turtle, salamander, and a flying squirrel. Unfortunately, his older brothers Rick and Hank stole the squirrel and kept it in their room. Once a week, they played a game where Rick threw the squirrel from the 2nd-story window, and Hank caught it midair with the trash can as it glided down. Soy tried to get them to stop, but they never listened. The frog didn't put up much of a fight. I started to wonder if it actually wanted to be caught. Do you believe me now? I asked. Soy peeked inside his hands and lifted his head. Well, this frog is wearing glasses. I'll give you that. Both of our minds were racing with questions. Let's bring it to my treehouse so we can figure this out, I said. I had built most of the treehouse in my backyard myself. My mom and dad insisted on one of them being there when I would use certain tools, but that was about it. Building things was just always made me feel good afterwards, and I had gotten pretty good at it. A treehouse had been done for a while, but there were still a few things I wanted to add to it before winter. When we got there, I told Soy to use the elevator. It was really just a rope with a weighted pulley system, but I called it the elevator anyway. We used it when we needed to carry things that we couldn't bring up on the ladder. I climbed up and then lowered it down for him. All those years of critter handling had paid off, and he got it inside the treehouse without any problem. I shut the door and quadruple locked it so that the frog couldn't run away, and also to give us some privacy. Okay, Soy, I said. Let him loose. Soy lowered his hands and opened them, letting the frog hop to the floor of the treehouse. I had a small drafting table, drawings, and a bit of wood all over, which provided plenty of spaces for the frog to hide. Luckily for us, it didn't move at all. Instead, it looked up to me and in a loud voice said, "What do you mean, him?" Soy fell backwards from a crouch onto his rear. The frog was looking right at me, waiting for an answer, but all I could do was shake my head. "It's rude to assume I'm a he, don't you think? I happen to be female," said the frog proudly. Soy was now holding his head with both hands. "It can talk," he said in belief. "Well, now calling me an it, after I just told you I was a girl, is just plain inconsiderate, Soy," she said. I knelt closer, looking for anything that might make sense of it all. Maybe the frog was a robot? But nothing about the way it moved was robotic. It would make and would a made in China sticker really make me feel better? She had just called my best friend by his first name. Soy was so flabbergasted that he was gnawing on his backpack strap, so I doubted that they had met before. "I'm sorry," I said to the frog, kneeling down. "We didn't mean anything by it, truly." The frog hopped even closer. "You've always been kind," then whispered, "It's a powerful thing. Remember that." "I will," I said, amazed by that I had just gone from meeting a talking frog to taking advice from a talking frog in a matter of seconds. "But, if you don't mind me asking, how is it that you can talk?" I said. By that point, Soy had half of the backpack strap in his mouth. The frog crooked her head at me slightly. "Do you think that humans are the only ones that can talk?" she asked. I was startled. Was it possible that animals could talk and somehow no one in the world knew about it? Was everything that I thought about animals wrong? I took a seat on the floor too. Soy spit out his strap. "That's not cool," he said. "I tell my pet iguana of all my secrets. If he can talk, I need to know who he's been talking to." The frog gave out a little laugh, then she said, "Oh, I'm just kidding. Animals can't talk any more than humans can flap their arms and fly." I was embarrassed but mostly relieved. "What about some kind of iguana sign language?" asked Soy, still nervous. Ignoring Soy's question, I asked the frog, "How is it that you can talk, I mean?" "For starters, I'm not a frog," she explained. The only reason that without any warning, there was a knock on my treehouse door. "What are you up to in there? Why is this door closed?" asked my mom sternly. I searched my brain for an answer that didn't involve the word frog in it. "Soy and I we were doing homework, and the breeze kept blowing away our papers," I replied. "He's a clever one," the frog whispered to Soy. I gave the frog a signal to be quiet. It may have been the first time in the history of the world that a frog had spoken, but for the time being she needed to stop. If my mom heard a female voice, she would break down that door, quadruple lock or not. I added another lock every time she broke down the door. A few weeks earlier, Soy had lit a firecracker inside the treehouse, and she had noticed the smoke. I added a fourth lock that night, but was more than sure than ever that metal was no match for Mom's strength. For the moment, I needed this frog's vocabulary to shrink back down to ribbit. "Well, come on inside the house. There's a man from the school board here who needs to speak with you," my mother said. Then she lowered her voice and spoke softly into the crack of the door. And he looks pretty official. He's even wearing a fancy suit with a shiny yellow bow tie. Don't worry, though. He's assured me you've done nothing wrong. Yellow! Screeched the frog. What? Asked my mom. Oh, I said hello! I lied, using the best high-pitched voice I could muster. Honey, hello usually comes at the beginning of conversations. We're pretty far into this one, she said. Ah, right. Sometimes I just forget when you're supposed to say it, I said nervously. Oh, I didn't realize. Maybe we can work on that, sweetie, she said, getting even closer to the door, because that's definitely a problem. Just hurry up and come down, please. I heard my mom climb down the ladder and then watched her go back inside the house. The frog jumped up to the open window which faced the woods behind my house. I was amazed at how high she could jump. It was immediately clear that she could have left any time she had wanted. Whatever you do, don't mention me, the frog whispered frantically. I'll find you later. And with that, she jumped out of the window into a bush below. Alright, that was chapter 2 and 3 of Guardians of Lore. I'll see when I can upload the next video. And I will see you all next time.